This is a viral photo that was said to have been the result of a nuclear disaster at the Fukushima nuclear power plant in Japan. The disaster is real, but these flowers were not a result of it. However, in a study done by Stanford University, 80% of students agreed that this photo alone was excellent evidence of what can happen from a nuclear disaster. Fake news and altered pictures are not anything new. As long as there's been media, people have posted and distributed things that weren't exactly true. Sometimes just to get attention, sometimes to make a joke, and sometimes to try to get others to buy something or to believe something and convince them of a certain point of view. With the internet, we have ways to get information and share ideas like never before in history. In many ways, this is a great thing, but we have to learn to be critical and ask questions about the content that we're looking at. This is especially true when it comes to the news. It seems like everywhere you turn today, you hear people saying things like, "That's fake news," or "That's not true."
I don't necessarily think fake news is a problem so much as it's misinformation. People often are keen to take whatever information they're given right off the bat, sometimes without kind of thinking about where it's coming from or what it implies.
I believe that it's the new epidemic because people don't understand how fast fake news spreads.
It's so important that we stop and evaluate the information that we find online before we accept it as truth. Perhaps even more importantly, we need to make sure that the things we're sharing and liking online are not fake news or misinformation.
I'm pretty sure that I have shared fake news, but I didn't realize it until someone corrected me.
No one knows what to trust and what not to trust anymore.
I shared a couple stories back in during the presidential election that might not be as true as I originally believed they were.
It's not always easy to figure out what sources you can trust on the internet, and if you think you may have shared something that later on turned out not to be true, that's understandable, and you're not alone. In fact, many people say that we are living in the time of an infodemic right now, where disinformation is being created for many different reasons, and then people are spreading it without realizing that they're part of the problem, or that it was fake news to begin with. Well, today we're going to learn how to stop the spread of disinformation by learning to evaluate sources that we find online. It's important for people to hear the truth, because the truth is what keeps us safe, and it helps us to make good decisions about our lives and the future that we want for our country.
Knowing what's going on in the world is awesome, but reading the news online can be tricky. What you see can be distracting, confusing, or even completely false. So if you're reading a news article online, it's important to know your way around. The URL is a one-of-a-kind address for every web page. Always double-check to make sure you're actually on the page you're looking for. Headlines tell us what the story is all about, but sometimes they can exaggerate or say something different from the article to get you to click on them. Most news sites have different sections to tell you what type of article you are reading. If you want the facts, just be sure you're not on an opinion article. The byline is the writer's name, and the date is when it was published. No byline, no date? The article might not be trustworthy. Images or videos help introduce the story and show details that words can't. But pictures that seem too crazy to be true or ads before a video could be misleading. Related articles can be useful, but keep an eye out for pieces that don't report just the news. Sponsored content is links to things on other websites, but watch out for clickbait. Don't let shocking headlines or wild images trick you into clicking. Advertisements link to other websites that are usually selling something, but some ads are disguised to look like news. The comment section has thoughts and opinions from readers, but remember that anyone can post just about anything there, even if it's mean or completely untrue. It's a lot to keep in mind, but if you know what to look for and what to look out for, you'll be the first to get the story.
Now that we know how to evaluate a website, you're going to go with your groups and work on this poster of the website that we just saw. Together, you're going to label the different parts and discuss what they mean and how you can use them to tell if a website is valid or not. Later, as we move through our inquiry project, you are going to become deception detectives. You will work independently to evaluate 3 different websites using the criteria that we'll be learning. After you've evaluated those 3 websites and determined if they're credible, truthful, valid, then you're going to create a video for our class Flipgrid. In this video, you will show us the evidence that you've collected as a deception detective to justify why you think the website, the source that you evaluated, is true or not. And then you're going to go one step further and you're going to answer the essential question for our unit. And that is, why is it important to evaluate the information we find online? And I can't wait to see what your thoughts are.